Hi, welcome to today's Yin Vin flow. For today's practice, you are going to want 2 blocks, a bolster or a pillow from your bed works just fine, and a strap. You can also use a scarf or like a towel will work totally fine. We're going to get started in the Yin portion of practice. So take your bolster with you. We're going to start in Sphinx pose on your belly. Now you might use the bolster, you might not. I'll encourage you here first to tuck that bolster up towards your ribs. Using it is just a little extra support and almost like some pressure as you push your elbows into the bolster to help you keep your heart lifted. Now you're welcome to stay here. You can get rid of the bolster if it doesn't feel good under your body, or even bring one of the blocks under your chin, keeping that back bend, but maybe reaching your arms forward. So you're finding a little more gentle back bend, a little less pressure on your shoulders. Give yourself a few moments here. Settle in, adjust, soften your low body. Then your eyes soften or close. Give yourself a few rounds of breath here and settle into stillness. Bring that awareness back to your breath. Give yourself about 5 more rounds of breath here. Keeping those inhales and exhales nice and long. When that feels complete, you can release any of the props that you're using and come to lying on the belly, creating just a little pillow with your backs of your hands. Forehead can rest here. You might add windshield wipers, bending your knees, heels fall side to side. And then extending into stillness when you're ready. You're going to bend your left knee, left heel towards the glute. And then left hand reaches behind you, adding in a lying quad stretch here. Now, if reaching your foot feels a little far away, that's where you can take this strap, using the strap here to anchor your foot. You can keep that right forearm pressed into the mat, creating that pillow for your forehead to rest. Or even bring the bolster under your forehead if that feels okay and doesn't cause too much cranking in your neck. Allow yourself to soften into the shape. Breathe here. Slowly release that grip. Left hand comes under your forehead. Pause here in stillness for a moment, allowing both legs to be soft. Maybe noticing if you feel any difference in sensation in your legs. And preparing for the other side, right hand reaches behind you, heel towards the glute. Again, if this grip feels uncomfortable in your shoulder or the foot feels far away, use the strap here, bringing your foot just as close to your glutes as feels good for you. And then settle in. Next breath, you can gently release that leg. Both hands under the forehead, pausing here in stillness. Then maybe bend both knees, heels up towards the glutes, and extend long. Another round, bend the knees, heels towards the glutes, and extend long. Slowly press up to a tabletop. Taking your time, we're here for just a moment. Shift your hips side to side. Then taking your knees closer together, pointed towards the top of the mat, we're going to come to a narrow child's pose. I bring the bolster between my heels and my hips here. Knees pointing forward as far as, or as close, I should say, as is available for you. Then allow your arms to reach forward, forehead towards the mat. Breathing here. Three more rounds of breath. And that's complete. Lift out of the shape, releasing the bolster. And then taking your knees just a little wider here. Walk your hands behind you. Hips press up towards the sky. Mini camel. Head falls back just as far as feels good. Then hips back to the heels. Walk your hands forward. This time tucking your toes. Hips reach back towards the heels as far as works for you. Walking your hands behind you, keeping toes tucked if that's available. Hips press up towards the sky just as high as feels good. Hips to the heels. Hands come back in front of you, tabletop. Toes can be tucked or untucked here. Inhale, drop your belly, look up. Exhale, round your spine, tuck your chin to your chest. Inhale for cow, belly drops, gaze lifts. Exhale, cat, round the spine. Come to neutral. And then bring your right foot between your hands, taking your blocks on either side of the foot. Begin to sink your hips back, half splits. Now I prefer to tuck my toes behind me here, just adding a little more stability. Front toes flex towards the sky. Blocks at whatever height here allows you to lengthen your spine. So crown of the head is still lifted. Give yourself a moment here. Inhale, bend into your front knee, arms lift, maybe hips press forward. Exhale, sink back. We'll do that twice more. Inhale, find your low lunge. Exhale to sink back. Inhale, low lunge. Exhale, half splits. Pressing back to a tabletop position. Other side, a left foot comes between the hands. Starting with those blocks on either side of the foot and then slide them here with you. Finding your stability and base here first. Really focusing on that long spine as we set up. Then on an inhale, foot presses down, hips forward. Exhale, half splits. 2 more at your pace. Again, hips sinking forward just as far as feels good. We're not trying to over exaggerate or cause any zinging or pain. Pausing when you get back to that low or half splits. Then unwind, foot plants. Blocks can come off the mat. Step back to tabletop. Walking your hands forward about a handprint. Lift your hips, downward facing dog, just for a breath. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, bend your knees and look forward. Exhale, step or hop to the top of your mat. Inhale, a half lift. Flat back. Exhale, fold, release. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, reach up towards the sky. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, arms reach up, look up. Exhale, forward fold, hinge at the hips. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale, plant your hands, step or hop back to plank. Inhale and plank. Exhale all the way to the floor. Elbows graze the ribs. Untuck your toes and take your feet wide. Inhale, lift your heart for cobra. Elbows hug the side body. Exhale, back to the mat. Inhale, press up to plank, toes or knees. Exhale, hips up and back, down dog. Inhale, shift forward to plank. Lower to your knees. Then keeping your toes tucked, sink back for that narrow child's once more. Again, toes can always untuck if this feels too intense, or lift your hips a bit. About 2 rounds of breath here. When you're ready, shift your weight forward once more, coming to that plank on the knees. Then toes tuck, hips up and back, downward facing dog. Inhale, sweep right leg to the sky. Exhale, step it between your hands. Bring the blocks to either side of the foot, then lift to crescent. Back heel presses away from you, core is engaged. Shoulders pull away from the ears. Next breath, straighten your front leg, hands come to hips, hinge forward, finding a flat back. Hands can come out by your hips, palms face down, airplane arms. Breathe in, breathe out. Now taking your hands to the blocks, we're gonna add in some little pulses. So back heel lowers, front toes lift. I'll shift the blocks actually, so you can see what's happening. And then as you're ready, weight shifts forward, front foot plants, back foot lifts. So just a subtle movement here, shifting the weight forward and back. Keeping the blocks here to help keep your spine long, finding that flat back. Give yourself a few more rounds here at the pace that feels good for your body. Really focusing on those hamstrings. We'll meet next time your front foot is planted. Inhale, find that flying pyramid, hands back by your hips. Exhale, bend into your front knee crescent. Inhale. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step back to plank position. Inhale and plank. Exhale for the mat. Untuck your toes, feet wide. Inhale, lift your heart for cobra. Exhale, lower back down. Inhale, press up to your plank, toes or knees. Exhale, hips up and back, down dog. Inhale, sweep left leg to the sky. Exhale, left foot between the hands, set up your blocks. Inhale, lift to crescent. Engaging the core, back heel presses away from you. As you're ready, straighten that front leg, hands to hips. Hinge forward, flying pyramid. Hands can stay at your hips or open in those airplane arms. Engaging the back body here first. Hands find the blocks, keeping that flat back as much as is available. Then on an inhale, back heel lowers, front toes lift. Exhale, rock the other direction. Again, working at your pace. Spending extra time in either position if it feels good. Keeping that crown of the head pressing forward. I notice I want to look back towards my toes, tucking my chin, but help to keep your spine long here. Maybe even gazing just a little bit in front of the top of your mat. We'll meet next time your front foot is planted. Inhale. Exhale, bend into that front knee, return to crescent, arms frame the face. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step back to plank position, toes or knees. Inhale. Exhale for the mat. Untuck your toes, feet wide. Inhale, lift for cobra. Exhale, back to the mat. Inhale, press up to plank on toes or knees. Exhale, hips up and back, down dog. Inhale, bend your knees and look forward. Exhale, step or hop to the top of the mat. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale, fold, release. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, reach up towards the sky. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, arms reach up. Then lift to your toes. Heels come off the mat. Hands come to your heart center. Finding a nice long spine. Slowly begin to bend your knees, lowering your hips towards your heels. Again, you might pause anywhere along the way once you find your edge. Maybe you come into toe stand, hips all the way towards your heels, heart pulls forward. Keep your toes lifted. Keep your heels lifted, and then press back up. Going nice and slow. The slower you go, the more you're building strength in those legs. Arms extend. Then once more, we're going back down. Keep those heels lifted. Taking your time. Embracing all those wobbles and wiggles. Finding your version of toe stand. If hips are towards the heels, knees pointing forward. And then wherever you are, you can use your hands if that feels better. Knees lower to the mat. Come to standing on the knees. Breathe in, arms reach up. Breathe out, engage your glutes, elbows pull down. Inhale, extend. Exhale, squeeze the glutes, elbows pull down. Inhale to lift. Exhale, hips lower to your heels. Plantar stretch. 3 rounds of breath here, squeezing your shoulder blades. I tend to do an in through the nose, out through the mouth and plantar stretch because this feels pretty intense for me. 1 more deep round of breath wherever you are, whatever feels good for you. As you're ready, untuck your toes and then sink your hips back for that narrow child's once more. Toes untucked this time. Breathe in. Breathe out. Slowly pressing up to a seated position. Taking your block at its wide setting between your heels, either in its medium or lowest setting, whatever feels better for you for hero's pose. This is where I'm going to guide us to close out our practice, but if a different seated position feels better for you, you are welcome to take that. Encourage you wherever you are, hands press into your thighs, grounding down. Squeeze your shoulder blades together and then shoulders away from the ears. Give yourself about 10 deep, full rounds of breath here. Nudging that awareness back to your breath if your mind started to wander. If this feels good and you'd like a few more rounds of breath in seated meditation, you are welcome to stay here as long as feels good. If you're ready to close out your practice, you might start by rocking your head side to side, one ear towards one shoulder, and then other ear towards the opposite shoulder, maybe some shoulder rolls. And then as you're ready, we'll close with a collective breath. Hands can stay pressing into your thighs. Inhale through the nose. Exhale out the mouth. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today. Thank you for being part of this rad community, and I hope you have a lovely day.